Hey everybody, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute, and you're listening to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, where we discuss the importance of purpose in our everyday lives. Discovering and living out your purpose keeps you focused on God's purpose. That is sharing the good news of salvation with others. This podcast is for people like me, still searching for the answers to who am I and why am I here? You and I were designed and created by God for purpose, and we have much to do. You can listen and subscribe to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose with Brenda Devine on Anchor and all other podcast platforms. Hey, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Hey, thank you again for joining me for another episode of my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose. So we're going to start off with the topic for this podcast of what are you mourning? And as we continue on having our conversations, I want to make sure that we are framing our conversations with honesty to ourselves, honesty that we are present and aware and self-aware of who we are and where we are at the present time. Often we're not self-aware of who we are and what's going on with us. We push down so much. We press down so much hurt and brokenness that oftentimes we just get used to living that way. A few years back, I was sitting in a pew in my at the church that I attend, which is Family Victory Fellowship in Southfield, Michigan. Pastors Larry and Sylvia Jordan, and sitting in the pew, and Pastor Jordan was teaching about purpose, and it didn't really resonate with me until he mentioned mourning. That some people don't really understand that they're in mourning. And when I got in the car and I was driving and thinking about the sermon that day, and I started to think about, and I asked myself the question, am I in mourning? And I realized that I was in mourning. I didn't have anyone in my family die. I wasn't hurt or abused. I hadn't come out of a trauma, but I was in mourning. I was in mourning of what I felt I had lost along the way. I felt I was living in denial of things, of how I had taken years of not being happy, years of being angry and bitter, and had suppressed a lot of emotions and things I wanted to get out, and had many instances of me essentially just being just evil, just being an angry person, acting out in so many different ways. But a lot of people didn't see those things. They saw a different Brenda. Some people saw the professional Brenda, and some people saw the evil Brenda. And sometimes those two crossed. I won't say sometimes, often those two Brendas crossed. And I never had thought that it was a response to anything other than this is just the way I am. But listening to my pastor that day and really soaking it in and contemplating and meditating on it, and I realized that he was right, that I was in mourning, and that I was lost, and I was beaten down, even though the outside of me even looked differently. My personality, or should I say, how my resume read, where I lived, what I drove. The outside didn't look like that, but the inside was distressed. It was in mourning. And just that experience, that perspective of mourning began to open up a level of self-awareness that I was broken, I was hurt, I was in need of healing, I was in need of direction, I was in need of love, I was in need of forgiveness, and just that word of mourning opened up my mind to what I had experienced and what I needed. So I want to offer that to you as we go through our discussions, our conversations about living a life of purpose. We have to be self-aware we have to be more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent of who we are, and to dig deeper to make sure that we cover and look at the different crevices in our heart that may be holding us back, that may be a filter or a covering or a blockage or a chain, a hindrance to living a life of purpose, to being who God has called us to be. God will take us wounded. We can never be perfect. There is nothing that we have to do or say for God to want to heal us and to be with us and to love us. He's already there. He's already there. But we have to acknowledge what's going on with us. And so I asked that question, and I'm so glad my pastor asked me that question of, am I in mourning? He asked the congregation, but I applied that question to my life. And I'm going to ask you that. Are you in mourning? What are you mourning? Who are you mourning? I know people who are still mourning someone who died 50 years ago. They're still in that place, even though they are still in that place, and they can't get out of it. Well, they can, but they choose not, because I don't even know they realize that they're there. And so they're still in mourning. So if we are here right now, but we are still living in the past, we are still broken from what someone said to us, something that someone did. If you need counseling, if you need therapy, if you need help, if you need prayer, do it. Don't just let it settle there and say, this is just who I am. Trust me when I say this. There is so much more to life than that place where I was sitting on that pew in God's house, but still mourning and didn't even know it. We are not just here to sit on a pew. We are here to get up from that pew and live out a life of purpose. So if you are mourning, just don't sit there. You got to get up. You're in the right place. Yeah, you're in church. You're hearing the word. But how much is filtering through if you are engulfed in mourning and you don't even know it? So I want you to think about that a little bit. What are you mourning? What do you feel that you've lost? What do you think someone has taken from you? What did you miss out on? What were you looking to get that you didn't get? Essentially, let's just put that in the overall frame of thinking of how were you not loved the way you wanted to be loved? Okay. How? Because we all want to be loved. And when we're not, we respond in different ways. Ways that aren't always good for us. But here's the thing that I've learned in this journey of purpose. That God can heal every hurt, every emotion. He can heal a broken heart. He can fill up every one of those crevices in our hearts that we hide. He can do all of that because He loves us. He is that mother. He is that father that we may have wished that we had. He is that protection. He is that love. He is that grace. He is just so much. He can, He will, He's available for you. But you gotta ask that question. You gotta answer that question. What are you mourning? And you have to be willing to put down all of what you left, all of what you have that you're mourning. Put it down, sacrifice it, put it at the altar, as they say. And essentially, going to the altar, leaving it to the altar is you give it to God to handle. You give it to Him because it's a weight that you're carrying. You know, you're carrying this weight. I was carrying so much weight of my past and my hurt, my mourning. And I could have given it to Him a long time ago, but I was hard-headed. And I didn't really understand that I didn't have to carry that weight. I really didn't understand that wasn't really me. But once I saw the opportunity to give it to him. I still felt inclined to hold it because it's comfortable. It's what I knew. But once I gave it to him, everything else just opened up. All that weight, all that pain, all that wasted time. I just gave it to him. And he took it immediately. No questions. He just took it. And that left me open to do more. That left me open to love him more, to love me more, to love you more, to be here having this conversation with you. So, let's be honest. Let's think about where we are right now. Let's think about what we're holding on to. That hurt, that pain, that disappointment, those people that let you down. Let's leave it. Let's just leave it there at the altar. Let's make that decision just to leave it there. Let God pick it up. Let him pick it up. And then watch him. Learn from him. Allow him to heal you. He will. I know. He will. He will heal you. And you will see your life open up so differently, so full, so beautifully. Your life will open up. All the things that you've ever wanted, to be loved, to be accepted, to use your talents and your gifts. They're there. They're there. But first, you gotta be honest. And you gotta give it up. So you can live. So your life can change 360 degrees. You will love more. You will be in love more. Everything will be more. You will breathe. You will live. You will love more than you ever have. So I'm just sharing with you my life, my journey of purpose. Never thought I would be here. But this is where I am. And I'm sharing with you what I've experienced and hoping and praying that you will be strong enough to answer that question. Be honest. And put all your burdens, your pain, your fears at the altar. And let God have it. This is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Hey, I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, on Anchor and all other major podcast platforms. To learn more about Purpose 8 Institute and our ministry of sharing the importance of purpose, please visit our website, www.purpose8institute.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. If you would like to learn more about purpose beyond this podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, you can also purchase one of my books that are available on my website, purpose8institute.com, and also on Amazon.